Hey everyone, Gilbert here. I'm giving a quick intro to this video because it's pretty much an excerpt of a webinar that I gave, and so I've cut it up and shrunk it down to be a little bit more digestible for you guys in a video. Please watch it. It's super important about the Vicinity update. So if your listings have been affected, you might want to really pay attention to see what you can do about it. And I hopefully you really have some good takeaways from my video. Please leave a comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the other side. Vicinity update was a huge maps update, and there hasn't been one for at least 3-4 years this big. And it got confirmed by Google. Usually Google doesn't really confirm maps updates. So they did, and it was the first week in December basically, and they confirmed it a week later in the middle of December. So we were not happy. The SEOs were not happy because it was right before Christmas, and we're like, some people were, I even saw some tweets like, should I take vacation or should I do analysis? So it was frustrating to have it right at that time. But now we're a month later, and so here are some results that I'm going to present to you. There's been a couple articles written out about what people think that it has been, and just one quick last thing is that when Google rolls out algorithm updates, these things are global. They affect everyone the same. Can you imagine if Google had different algorithms for each country? It wouldn't make sense. So when they do something, it affects the whole ecosystem, the whole world of Google. So we've seen this new 3-pack design everywhere, where there's a larger map on the right-hand side. A few, like, the images are a little bit larger too, and so, you know, images are more important. The map seems to be more important. Just want to show you that the old style, which is on the right here, is still actually displaying. So I did this search yesterday when I was putting together these screenshots. So sometimes you're still going to see the old style depending on what kind of search you do. So sometimes if you add, like, in local, if you put like furniture store, sometimes if you put a plural or no plural, like furniture or furnitures, you're going to get different results. And why hasn't Google shifted all the way over, like everything? I'm not sure, but you will sometimes see the old map. I don't think it affects the rankings, but you'll just see the old style of display, at least. And here's another example where, you know, some of these seem really the same to me, right? Plumbing supply store shows the new, and plumbing store shows the old. All right. So let's talk about what changed for ranking, right? We know the display has changed, but what changed for ranking? So if other people have checked, you know, articles and seen what people are talking about. So Mike Blumenthal mentioned at one point that maybe the viewport changed. So the viewport, basically, he's talking about, well, the map changed, right? The map size changed. So maybe now different businesses are getting pulled in because the map is bigger or smaller, right? So that's the viewport that he was talking about. Proximity is more important. Some people are saying, well, it's called a vicinity update for a reason. Joy Hawkins at Sterling Sky basically named this, and everyone went along with it. So the vicinity update is because the proximity has been impacted to some level. A lot of people are saying that keywords in the business name is less important now. So like all the keyword stuffing, it is, but I'm going to show you with data why I put that asterisk there. And then the reviews, I'm just going to say reviews seem to be more important, and I have data. Again, what I'm presenting to you is, I'm just not guessing here. I'm going to show you why I think these things, and you can either say, no, I don't think so, or I have data like refuting that, but I'm going to show you my data and why I'm making decisions. Now, and I pulled some examples. I have lots of other, I spent all day yesterday looking for examples and data. So here is a search, and it's bedbug removal. We have our before and after. So basically we have our October search or November search, and then our January search. And there's a few things here that I want to call to attention. So one, you can see the map zoom level is drastically different, right? So we have before we have a really zoomed in map, whereas in after, that part is just this small area. Okay, so the map is really zoomed out now. We also have keywords in the business name over here, right? We have bedbug exterminator, like, so these three businesses have a lot of overlap in their business name. Whereas in the new 3-pack, we just have that first one, And then we have two other more branded, they don't have those keyword stuffed names, if you will. And if you notice that the one that stayed there is the one with over 1,000 reviews, whereas the other ones, if I just roll back here, didn't have as many, right? 10%, 0.5, 5% of the reviews of the first one. And then the newer ones have more. Now we have 500 reviews here. So something that we'll talk about later on. So I just want to, again, go to the map zoom level, because in the previous one we just saw, the map zoomed out really far. I found an example here where we have flower delivery near me and flower store. We have the new display, we have the old display. But even though the search queries are different, I have the same 3 stores, right? I have the same Flowers and Things, Cassidy's, and Blooming Willies, same 3 stores. And you'll see that if I highlight, the newer map is bigger, but we're not zoomed in more, right? So if you look at like the 2 hospitals here, they're about the same distance away. So the map is bigger, there's more space to show, but the zoom level is the same. And so, and I have other examples that I checked, but basically what I'm saying is here is that it's not the zoom level that is affecting which businesses get chosen. It's the other way, right? The cause and effect. It's the businesses get chosen by the algorithm, and then Google is then adjusting the map to make a good perspective of the businesses that it already chose. So it's not anything to do with the map zoom level. The zoom level comes after, okay? So let's kind of disregard the zoom level. So those were with non-location based queries. So let's look at Toronto Exterminator. And we have the similar businesses as before. We have our before and after, and we'll see that in this case, the zoom level went way in, right? We have our before, which is zoomed out, and now our new, we're zoomed in. And so basically what we've done with adding the word Toronto or any location is you're forcing Google, you're telling Google to really narrow its focus. Now it did that before, but not to this extent. So it seems like it really narrowed the focus closer to the center of where that location is. So in this case, it's Toronto. So we determine what the location of Toronto, the center of Toronto is, according to Google.
So would you say, like, if in the past, if you had said like flower delivery in Tampa and you're in, Toronto, probably the name of the business. So if it said like Tampa florist, it'd be more likely to come up. And now it's really more location driven than keyword driven when you're making those, explicit searches.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, you can say that the proximity has been turned up compared to the keyword. And we're going to talk about the keywords here because it's not like a straightforward thing.
Yeah, and it's probably not something you can do much about, but it's just good to know.
So I'm just going to jump and explain this thing called maps filtering in case people don't know. So this is an algorithmic filter where Google it likes to show a variety of listings. So it won't show all the listings in one location. The example here is I have my map is really zoomed in. There's only one building here. I think I'm in Chicago, really zoomed in. And all PI lawyer, so personal injury lawyer. And I'm zoomed in as close as I could be, and you'll see 5 results right here, 5. And they're all from the same address, right? They're all this one building that I'm zoomed on, 55 West Monroe Street. But I know there's more lawyers in that building, right? So if I do PI lawyer, and then I type in the search, right, 55 West Monroe Street, now I've forced Google to say, hey, no, really, I really want from this building. And you'll see here that now it's showing me 9 lawyers. So what it's done in the first search is that it filtered out, it didn't even show me those 4 other people, right? Those 4 other listings, not for any reason. It's not like they're not relevant or anything. They're there, right? They're lawyers, they're there in that building. I'm right at that, I'm standing right outside of it. Why didn't you show it? Because Google won't show certain listings. So it's going to choose for whatever reason, it's going to choose the more prominent, the ones with more reviews or whatever, the ones with the better websites, things like that. And so the idea here is that Google will filter out, right? This is called a proximity filter. It'll filter out when listings have the same location. And when I say same location, and it could mean across the street. So within a couple 100 yards, so of the location and the same primary category. So listings with the same location, the same primary category will get, sometimes some of them will not be shown whatsoever because there's someone else that's bumping them off. Okay, I want to give you an example here where I have two searches, and this is just a GIF running. So flower delivery near me, and we have a flower delivery, and you'll see that this middle listing here, this spot here, changes from Cassidy's Flowers to Simply Flowers. But if you look at the address, it's the same address. If you look at the map, you'll see when it starts to shift, it's right there. It's the same address. So something probably, I didn't look it up, but probably what happened is that there's a flower shop there. It closed down, a new flower shop came, opened up. And so, but the old listing didn't get marked as closed. So now Google thinks that there's two businesses, the same business category at the same place. And Google doesn't like to show that kind of thing through the filter. And it's going to flip flop. It's going to flip. So sometimes it's going to show one, sometimes it's going to show the other. Okay. And so when we look at a map scan in Local Falcon, if you've ever seen scans like this, when you're looking at your scans, so what the heck is going on? My Local Falcon is completely broken. That's not right. This is an example of a duplicate coming. So Google there's two listings. Sometimes it's showing one and it's ranking well, but sometimes it's not showing it and it's completely off the map, right?
So this is like, this is like for Simply Flowers, because it's showing up on some searches and not at all on others. This is what that looks like. When Google's using the filtering to leave some listings completely off, is this filtering? Is this a new element? Because it used to be, you'd just be ranked 1 through whatever, and you could clearly see that. But now if it's filtering, that means it's like every other time it's leaving you out. Then this is what it looks like.
The proximity filter existed. This has been there for years. This is the proximity filter that I'm still explaining. That's existed for a long time. And that's why it's important to double check for duplicate listings. Sometimes you don't know, like if you don't see scans like this, but sometimes there'll be a duplicate listing or a listing that's bumping you off, that's a competitor that's stronger than you across the street or something. And then why am I not ranking? Why am I not showing at all? It's because Google is choosing that one and hiding yours. And so, this is all the same keyword. This would be a search for all the same keyword, but the algorithm it's kind of like it's coming in, it's making a decision. Oh, we see two businesses. Which one do I pick? I'm not going to pick both of them. I'm only going to pick one. Sometimes it's picking one, sometimes it's picking the other, because there's variability built into the algorithm. So whatever decisions it's making, sometimes it chooses one, sometimes it chooses the other, but you're going to see a scan. So just keep that in mind because it's going to come back in our keyword. So we're going to talk about the keywords now. Keywords and name and profile link. So everyone is saying, oh, keywords don't count for as much. Keywords in business, the spammy keyword names, they've all dropped, they're all gone, or they're going down, they don't count as much. So what I did is I have scans running, and this is over a year because it's my area, right? I have a listing that I test on, SEO Toronto. What I've done in Local Falcon is I've chosen a few companies here that have SEO. The search was for SEO Toronto, but you'll see I have 5 businesses here that have SEO Toronto in their business name. There's even a listing that's just called SEO Toronto, and we're going to look at that. So, but if keywords in the business name were demoted, right? If the ranking dial was down, then you would see all the businesses that have the keywords in the business name go down, but that's not the fact. We have the first one, right, which is the master SEO, stayed up the whole time and didn't really move. We have this one, SEO Toronto. This is the November update right here, the Vicinity update here, crashed along with Ed Kent and SEO Nerds. But we have SEO Toronto Code Media, the blue one, going up. They're all keyword stuff, right? And how come some went down, one went up, and one stayed the same? So something is, it's not quite as simple as keywords in the business name don't work as much. It's more complex than that, right? So let's take a look at SEO Toronto. This is the listing, the scan before the algorithm update, right? So this is a scan before, it was in October around here, was mostly, it was ranking well. It was getting super powered because it had SEO Toronto as the name, and that was the search, right? Now, after the update, you can see the scan looks odd. It looks really strange. And you'll notice that, the listing is located around here. So here's your normal pattern, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, right? All this area. Then after that, now there's 4 and 20 and 2 and 20. What's going on? Well, this looks a lot like the proximity filter. So what I'm saying here is that the keyword in business name, they're getting compared and Google is making a decision. So we have 5 listings with the SEO Toronto in it. Google is picking 1 or 2 and demoting the rest. It's filtering out the rest because they're too similar. Just like in the proximity filter, we have same business category, too close to each other. Let's only pick one of them. Well, now we have.
So you're saying that it used to be if they were at the same address, we would see things like that with the filter. But now this filter is being applied to these like sort of keyword names too.
Yeah, I'm saying the proximity filter still exists, but I'm saying Google is using that same concept and made another filter, has created another filter. So now we're getting these weird jumpy scans because the algorithm is coming in. Should we rank it? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, we'll rank it at number 4 because the keyword still counts. It shouldn't rank 150 miles away from its location, right? There's no way it should rank this far. This is a scan of 150 miles. So it's either picking it or not picking it, but when it's picking it, it stays strong. So the keywords in the name are still counting, but you have to be picked for you to count, okay? So I'm just gonna, here's our little summary here. So the name filter, as opposed to the proximity filter, is triggering when listings have the same general area. So you're the same service or market, the same primary category, and a similar business name. So too many overlapping words, which happens when you keyword stuff, everyone's keyword stuffing the same words. So now your business names are too similar.
Sherry also brought up a point, which is if you have a situation, she's talking about for the proximity filter, if you have practitioners that work out of the same office, so like that would be the thing with the lawyer, which happens in downtown buildings where you have a bunch of lawyers and you're trying to optimize one of those listings, you can try selecting a different primary category that might help from, it might help from being filtered off of the searches.
Yeah, so that's it. So if you change the primary category, then the filter won't apply anymore. So that's a strategy that we do for one of those advanced strategies when you're looking at things to try to get more coverage for different categories, dentists, and if you have lots of dentists and office lawyers or real estate agents, there's certain categories of businesses that we will want to use that tactic to get more coverage area. So let's come back here. So here's our master SEO, and yes, they actually do have the emoji in the business name that Google doesn't care about. And it's been there for a while. So let's just look. So again, we have the SEO Toronto and all them. So just a reminder that when people just say blanket statements on the internet, hey, keywords in the business name seem like they don't count anymore. The algorithm is getting more complex, and it's never one simple thing, right? It's never one simple thing anymore. We have to look at the data, and that's why I'm presenting you the data, just because I want to make sure that you understand that I'm giving you information based off of data, not just I think, or I've seen one example by kind of thing. So why would some go down? Well, one went up with the same keyword stuff business name, right? So it's not just a demotion. So let's look at other things, because if one goes up, to me that's like, oh, what can I learn? What are they doing that made their business go up while everyone went down, right? So this is 2 of the listings that went down. This is one of the listings that went up. So right off the bat, very easy to see is the reviews, right? For the 2 that went down, have 2 and 3 reviews, and the one that went up has a lot of reviews. If I go back up here, the one that stayed the same has 23 Google reviews. The one that went up had 37 reviews. The one that went down had 2. So, okay, I said, well, that's interesting. Let's look a little bit more globally. Let's not just pick one, and let's just compare a little bit more of the attributes here. So we'll look at these attributes here. And so master SEO is the one that stayed the same. Code media is the one that went up. And then these 3 went down in red. And so we're looking at the reviews. Then I looked at how, when was their newest review? Look how many images they have on their GMB listing. Are they showing their address or not? Are they SAB or not? I looked at their backlinks, and I looked at their websites to see were they optimized well. So in that case, like they all had SEO Toronto in the page title. They all have SEO Toronto in the content of their homepage. They had multiple pages. Their websites seem pretty like robust and normal websites, right? And so if we look at it, to me, this is what stands out the most. The reviews, right? Why did this one go up? Well, the reviews are the differentiator between this one and these 3. The recency of the review, not that it's that great, but 3 months compared to the other ones is newer, right? So that's newer. It has less, images. This doesn't matter. Now, the backlinks also seem to be an indication where it has a lot of backlinks, like the one that stayed number 1 has a lot of backlinks. The difference was that Ed Kent here had a lot of backlinks to the homepage, but this listing in particular wasn't associated with the homepage. It was linking to an internal page, and that internal page only had 500 backlinks. So something might be going on there. So I'm looking at backlinks. The problem is that backlinks means they're doing SEO, right? So if you're getting backlinks, you're probably optimizing elsewhere, right? You can't just isolate that because they're doing other things. Same thing with the reviews. If you're constantly getting reviews, that means you're outreaching, you're proactive with your listing. There might be other things that you're doing, but we're just looking here. But on the surface, it looks like reviews are doing. And I did check other listings, and I don't have them here, but there's other listings that have gotten a bunch of reviews like since the update or right before the update, and they're doing well as also. So I'm just saying it straight out that reviews are more of a factor at this point. So we'll go through our conclusions a bit here. So adding a location to a search focuses the results to the center of that location. Like we discussed with Sarah, you can't really do much about that, unless you're opening a new listing and you're trying to pick a location where a new business is going to be. And that might change. That's one of those things that I think Google can change very easily. So I wouldn't say, oh, now we have to get a business like listing right at the centroid to get those, those explicit location searches. Because I think if that dialed up too high, I think Google can change that fairly easily. So I wouldn't bank on that staying too much.
Yeah, that one seems like kind of a broad change that they're going to dial in because, Google, above all things, they really want to promote the right solution for the search query, and having them be, weighted towards the center of, like a zip code or a town or whatever. That's not going to make sense in the long term. So I imagine that is going to change.
Yeah, I've seen some complaints on Twitter. It's like, hey, I'm looking for business and all you're showing me is downtown, but the city's bigger than just downtown, right? I've seen a lot of complaints. When they're going to change it, or maybe they're changing it in different places or testing it, but that's something that I think they will be playing with, and it won't stay as strong as it is. So keywords in the business name is still a ranking factor. So I just want to get that across. Keywords in the business name is still a ranking factor. However, listings with similar names are compared against each other, and Google is demoting the weaker ones, just like the proximity filter. Now we have a name filter. Okay,
so that's almost it's almost like a round robin then, where you have like 1 or 2 that are clear winners. They are always going to show, which is why on your thing, some stayed across the top, but then the ones that are very similar to each other, you know, now are like round robin. Google's like not going to display it one time, and then it will display it the next time, and then the not, and it just cycles through them. And so you want to get out of that if you can.
Yeah. So, and that's the problem when you're branding. You always want to have a good branding. If you want to put the keywords in your name because that's part of your business name and it helps people, then do so. But then you have to just make sure that you're the better business, right? So all the other things that you want to do is getting reviews and backlinks and optimizing your website. That way Google sees and their citations that you have a good prominence, and Google will reward that. Whereas a spam listing, because the whole point of this demotion of the name as a ranking factor is try to get rid of these brand new listings that, spam listings that just popped up that are exactly the keyword name, but they don't have a good website. They don't have any good reviews. They don't have all those other things. So Google is like, oh, these names are the same. Let's compare other factors now and pick the best one. And so now what's that done is it's gotten rid of a lot of the spam from showing up, right? But it's also gotten rid of some good businesses like lawyers. They all changed their names legitimately. They've actually changed their business names, but now it's almost coming back to hurt them because now they're going against really other businesses that also have the keywords in the name. And Google's like, well, these two law firms have 4 out of the 5 words are the same. We're going to pick one, and so now you're out. Let's talk about the reviews. So the reviews that I'm saying are, it's not a new ranking factor. It's always been there, but I think that has been increased, and it makes sense because in the Google support forum last month, 2 months ago, there was a lot of problems. There was a lot of people coming into the forum saying, I'm missing reviews. I'm missing reviews. I'm missing reviews. People left me a review. They're not showing up on my listing. Or I had 100 reviews and now I only have 70. So Google, a few months back, was doing a lot of work with the review filter. They were trying to make the data integrity of reviews better. So now what I think has happened is that now Google is more confident that the reviews are good. They've increased that as a factor because they have more trust in it. Okay, so let's talk about the reviews because there's a lot of things about reviews, right? So is it more reviews? Is it the number? Is it how recent they are, right? Which is we compared up top. They had 3 months. The other one was 5 months. Is it the frequency? Is it how fast you're getting them? Is it the engagement? People click on it. Are they reading it? Are they filtering it? Are they, that kind of thing? Is it the keywords is in the review? And when we look at all those things, is it all of the above compared to your competitors, right? So now I have 10 reviews, the other guy has 2. Google says, well, that guy's better. But if I have 10 and someone has 100, well, now I'm the loser. So it's not the number. It's probably, by itself, it's the comparison. It's always a comparison between you and your competitor. So that is my Vicinity update. All right, so hopefully you've gotten a lot of great information from that webinar that I presented to DBA Platform. Again, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to put out more videos about this update because it has affected a lot of users. It's been like the biggest Maps update in the last 3-4 years even. And so there's a lot of people that need help. So if you do need help, write me in the comment or go to my website and drop me a line there and we'll figure something out if you need me to look at some of your listings a little bit more closely. I like to work with bigger businesses, but go ahead and contact me and we'll discuss and figure out things for you. So hopefully I'll be coming out with more regular videos to help you figure out stuff on your own, but a lot of people don't yet have time to that or they don't understand what's going on. And so I'm doing my best to help the SEO community here. And hopefully I have with this video. Thanks.